Okay, guys, that one ended a little weird on the technical side, but I got the gist of it through about Giga and the opportunity that I see in the stock and nickel. Um, that's a big bet for me now, and it had been before. Made a good amount of money on it just with that spike, taking advantage of that, and hopefully some of you did as well. But also, I just wanted to let you guys know because it's been quiet, and both of these companies I have mixed emotions about releasing these picks right now because I'm not done buying either of them. So I'm essentially going to offer to pay up, for myself on the rest of any stock I'm going to buy, most likely, certainly in the short term. And I also think that the timing is terrific on Giga and on Phenom. Phenom Resources was first Vanadium Corp. I just want to walk through a little bit of this to give you a sense of, what's with the hype here, what's with my, involvement to such a degree, what's going on. And so like, I'm trying to get to the point here where I can relay, you know, essentially more information about why I'm so involved in this deal, just because I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer in it, and we've made a lot of money on this thing. We haven't. I think that the biggest move is that to come. I mean, so what do I mean by why am I so big in this? Let me get this thing down here. Okay. So look, we made a bunch of money on this deal. We just closed in May, which is going back a bit, almost 6 months now. Well, four and a half, five. $6 million bucks, financing 40 cents. And I was really heartened that Rob McEwen was the one who kind of rounded out the round. And I decided to match him. I was already in for a good amount, but I wasn't planning on writing a check for $400,000. And that is a huge amount for me. It's much more than I've put into any placement in a mining company before. And I love seeing the progression, but at the same time, it was worth it to just kind of, level up with Rob on this, which to him, it's not, a significant investment at all. But for me, it certainly is. And not to mention, I already owned a tremendous amount of stock in the open market. The last I counted, I'm over around 6% of the company on a fully diluted basis. I don't have the exact number. I actually have to consolidate what I've been buying recently and add it up. But rest assured, it's over 5% of the company personally. And then our group, owns over half of this company. It's always hard to tell exactly what the the breakdown is when people are doing what they're doing. And I don't have control, but we've been a big supporter here for years. And we go back. Let's just look at this. And I just wanted to highlight. You could see this in the news. Paul mentioned when we got the 6 million closed in May, right here. Rob and myself supporting the financing at that level. So I mean, look, the other thing is, hopefully you guys don't think I'm full of it when I'm talking about what I've got or what I'm doing, returns, this and that, because I document it, and some of it isn't documented to you, but I don't really find a need to be blowing smoke up your butt. Now, Phenom, when it was first vanadium, we saw that my involvement, and it was public in the sense that I came out and recommended Phenom. Not only did we get involved here, it was starting in that August to September timeframe. I think it was probably early September or so that, I was accumulating, and we had this big pop, but I think we were right after that, okay? Because they had moved from Cornerstone Metals, which was a shell, to acquiring the South Carlin, we'll call it, First Vanadium Project. And then, I had been fortuitously, I think, introduced by Larry Page at Manex, who runs Southern Silver. He introduced me to Paul Cowley, and I said, look, vanadium's on my radar, because I had heard Robert Friedland talking very, very boldly about vanadium's supply demand need, and that if you want to go make a lot of money, find some vanadium and, hold on. And that guy's a legend. So I had read that over the summer. I was looking. There wasn't very many primary vanadium plays out there. And then sure enough, this one falls in my lap, and we go out and do most of financing at 14 cents with a 24-cent warrant, good for, I don't know if it was it was 3 years, good for 3 years on that. And that, that was a huge blessing, because vanadium all of a sudden comes on the radar. And I believe that the premium members had gotten wind of this, because the elites and I just bought here, and that mostly elites on the placement, because there wasn't a lot to go around. But then we had October, so that was 14 cents, is a big entry for most of us, buying it in the open market. And then in October, we saw a move into the low to mid 30s. And I had recommended this thing. I think it was on this pullback to the premium members. I'm not certain. I think it was like right around here, right around here for sure. We didn't go past February, but that was right before it exploded. And I might be wrong with my timing. It might have been here that we did it, but it was like low mid 30s. And then this thing explodes June of 18. This was late 17. We got into this. June of 18, we go to 188. So we were up 12 times from the 14-cent placement, which was free trading. If you add the profit from the warrant in the money, it was something like 23x. Okay, not bad, but that's top to top, bottom to bottom, which doesn't happen. But in any event, that's a big hit. Then, we pull back drastically to 80 cents here, but hold into the mix, because in October we hit an even higher high, 196, almost $2, huge volume. And that was because vanadium was getting squeezed, and there was a law coming into play in China, and it hit peak hype. Okay. Then we've seen a decimation, slow but sure, where vanadium prices went all the way back down to under $5 from in the 30s here. Okay. And then it occurred to me, because sometimes you just got to wait, and then you get another chance. And vanadium is going nowhere. It is a very interesting, unique subsector of the clean energy world for industrial sized batteries that is growing, and there is a very limited amount of stock in this stuff. And First Vanadium / Phenom Resources has the most advanced, largest primary vanadium deposit in North America, in Nevada. Okay, PEA stage. So they had built that out, the PEA, while this was really just going down, but advancing that project. And it was advanced to that point. We saw some of the numbers that could be greatly improved upon. And then right here is where it was in May, I believe, that I saw another opportunity and started to accumulate again around those same prices. Okay, April, May, but it really kicked in June, which is when we also did a big financing and took another chunk. This time it was bigger, and it was at 15 cents with the 25-cent warrant. And a lot of people got involved. We were buying in the open market. I don't remember exactly when premiums started to grab some, but it was probably as early as April in those mid-teens. And then certainly going into the June timeframe, we gobbled up a bunch, and the stock hit 85 cents back in July. It's pulled back to 52, but this is a super interesting situation, because you have to watch your downside first, right? Vanadium is back. It had risen. It had doubled off of that bottom over the last 12 months. It's on a bit of a pull. It went to 10 a pound. It's now back to closer to 8, at least in Europe. I mean, the Chinese numbers are higher, but in any event, it's a growing space, and it's going to come back on people's radar. And I think vanadium itself is going much higher in time. But even with an $8 to $10 vanadium price, you've got a $3 billion in situ deposit sitting at Carlin. And what do we have for a market capitalization? We've got 39 million Canadian. So we're looking at just over 30 million US, which is 1% of the metal in the ground, which is a very unique metal and asset. That alone, I believe, is worth more than the market capitalization of the stock and the company. That's our backstop. That's why partially I'm so big in this deal. But then we go to the real humdinger and why a bunch of us have gotten much more deep into this story since last summer. And I was just looking at some of the performance numbers when you look at Phenom, basically going back since we got involved here again it was June, and you see the volume increase there where we funded the company at 15, and the upside when you go, it was like last week I did the numbers at 50, 59 or 58 cents, up 400% in the face of a 34% decline in the GDXJ, and then some other companies have been decimated by more than half. Outperformance has been huge. What's the reason for that? Now, Dave Matheson, this is why I am primarily so excited with a combination of CEO Paul Cowley, who I've gotten to know over the years. And one of the big things about this business is two things. One, who can you trust? And two, who's got the ability to be a winner, to be someone who can steward a deal and get things done. And Paul, the number one thing I like about him is I trust him. He's not going to do anything stupid. He's a selfless guy, not a selfish guy. And we've seen that, he, as I am an anti-dilution terrorist, he's not going to do anything in that realm. And we're the biggest backers. And so the reality is also you balance that with, let's go big. And that's what's been happening. I mean, they're spending about $750,000 a month drilling for a deep, big time gold new ore body underneath the vanadium deposit. And it's being led by Dave Matheson, a name that he doesn't have a huge name out there, but he's got a stellar reputation amongst his peers and many people that look at the quality of a person kicking the rocks and putting the dust in their hand and trickling it down and looking at the mix and saying, we got something here to follow. That is where Dave's career, and I just want to show you this because this is why I'm betting big. And I think that if there's anybody that is going to find another gold quarry, gold strike, 20, 50, 30 million ounce deposit around Carlin, it's Dave Matheson. Why? So here's what you see. This is back in late 17, and when he was running Gold Standard Ventures. Rain Man is not a self-given nickname. He's synonymous with gold exploration in Nevada, and it was nicknamed due to his multi-million ounce discoveries in and around the Rain District. I didn't even know he was called Rain Man. Now I can call him that. That's great. And he spent 35 years of his career in Nevada. So he headed up Newmont's exploration team from 89 to 2001. Look at all these discoveries. He found a district, the Rain District, Tess, Northwest Range, Saddle, South Emigrant. His team were also responsible for the deposit extension discoveries at Gold Quarry and Mike. Gold Quarry is one of the biggest mines in the world, okay? And guess how far it is from Carlin, South Carlin, where we are? About 7 miles, okay? 7 miles away. Dave knows this area like the back of his hand. It's a big target and probably a deep one. So we have to give him a little bit of time. That's what I've been saying, because I don't expect, the first holes to come in where they've got to use those and vector in on the juice, the system that, they're going to have the real raw numbers that are going to show us, where that spot is. And it really is going to come down to drilling. And we're doing that now. We've backed these guys to just, drill. That's what I want to see in this industry, in this business. get stuff done. You don't dilute the heck out of your company and take a bunch of salaries. But look, we've outperformed the hell out of everybody in this deal. And I say we because I'm an owner. I'm a big owner in this company, and so are you potentially. Now, with Newmont, I've heard other things, essentially that Dave, he had to fight in that company against his peers in management to get them to drill differently and deeper. And that was what broke a lot of the stuff open at Newmont in the early 90s, in my opinion. He went to Tone. It was acquired by McEwen, big profit in 7. And then he is, Gold Standard Ventures, he started in 09. And then what he did is he essentially more discoveries, North Bullion, Sylvania, Bald Mountain. It was a sweetheart deal in the sense that it was a new resource cycle, and it rose from Canadian 26 million to a high of 835. Now, in the bio here of Dave on LinkedIn, this is, I think, probably more accurate in a sense that built the entire railroad project from the original 8 square miles of GSV control to almost the entire project's current land position, including the Pinion deposit. He designed, implemented, and managed a successful early exploration program on the railroad project that took GSV from a 25 million market cap to over 1 billion market cap company on the Carlin Trend. Anyway, whatever. I mean, he blew this thing up from what we look for, discovery. How many geologists out there can say what this man has done? He's discovered districts. He's discovered or been a part of discovering. I mean, the amount of ounces is arguable, but you're talking about tens of millions of gold ounces that he's touched, okay? And what I really love is that he is someone who will try things differently. And so on this stuff, let's move, I want to show you a little bit more about where he's been and because this is our secret. This is my secret to why I bet I have to rely on other pros, just like those technical guys, geologists, engineers, rely on somebody like me with the capital markets and financing, I rely on them. And it just comes down to reading people, reading in between the lines, having certain little subtle things validated to give me, just like they do, vectoring in with information. I vector in on who to bet on and when to bet big, which is Phenom Resources. That's in a pullback off from the 80s to the 50-cent area. And look, so, look at this guy's background. You can look at yourself if you go to LinkedIn. He's going back to Jesus. Dave, how old are you? 73. Well, my birthday was a year after that. So he's been in the game a long time, big companies, founders, entrepreneur, Gold Run. Wow. Okay. Interesting. You've got, big companies, little companies, discoveries of multiple deposits, all in Nevada, and then districts like the Rain District that, I'm not even running through some of those details about the districts he touched. Okay. But we've got him, and he is here, and he is pumped about the Carlin type gold prospect that we're seeing. So what it says here is first vanadium in 1.7 years, around when, just before we got involved, it became official. Nevada Gold Ventures has engaged in the acquisition of NGV Controls. So this is his company, right? Where do we get, this is where some of the assets have come from that have been added to the Phenom bucket from Dave, who's been around here forever and knows what the next enormous ore body, where and what will be required of it. They control 7 Carlin-type gold prospects located on the major trends in Nevada. Bonanza Vein Prospect, one of the largest exposed vein systems in Nevada. located within the Northern Nevada Rift. Sort of these projects are available to interested groups. I don't know why that's there, because we're the interested group. And we are talking, I was talking about this with Dave a couple of weeks ago, and I'm excited about Phenom as I think it's really his main public vehicle of investment. You know, when he got in, he put his money where his mouth was, back in that 15 center, at least. I don't know what he did at 40, but he wrote a big check. I love to see that. Okay. And I don't see him working anywhere else except for his own deal, you know? And that's it. And I think he's so excited about what we're doing here, basing his assets and everything else. You look at his title, he's at Phenom, doesn't mention his own company, but he's had that for a long time. And that's how he's acquired some of these gems. And look at the title here again. No one has discovered more gold in Nevada, and he's at it again. But how long is he going to be at it? I don't know, but he's pumped. I'm pumped. I'll give him all the time and money in the world to guide us to a home run. And when I talk home run in this deal, people don't quite get it. Okay. What am I looking for out of Phenom? These prospects are so big, even just the South Carlin, where they expanded their footprint, and the drilling is happening. We've got to drill, and we're going to continue to drill. And I've told them, if you want more money, if it is justified, obviously, with what you're finding, which a lot of times for these geologists is really, it's the right rock mixture. It's the right materials and metals and toxins like arsen. You know, it's really got to have the same feel of the cake, but maybe a little bit different. And you're looking at, that's how somebody like, I've learned, Dave will really, you know, level up a prospect as they start drilling. And then you say, nope, or yes, go here. It's taking us to that next step. I said, look, you don't have all the time in the world, because we want to make this thing a big success. Let's find out if this is a gold quarry-esque ore body, a deposit, because it will blow if they find that. And I can't say when they find that, because this is exploration drilling. Nothing's guaranteed, but this is where the risk is, the reward from the risk is massive. I look at Phenom like Bitcoin when I would say that it's going to be a binary outcome, meaning I was like, Bitcoin's going to 1 million or it's going to 0. There's no in between. And Phenom, there is an in between, but I think either we discover something there that is, you know, life-changing because of the way that it's all set up and been presented to me. And this stock is a $10, $20, $30 stock. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, you know, scalping it or whatever. I'm giving this one time. I will support it. They never have to worry about running out of money. Never. Okay. As long as it's justified success and things are looking good, then great. But if it doesn't go right, what are we going to do? Well, we've got a very significant vanadium asset, and Phenom is on the hunt for acquiring sexy and interesting assets, prospects. You know, we're out there looking. These guys are shopping now for kicking the tires on. There's a lot of bargains out there, and a lot of these projects haven't been moved forward in decades. And that's this vehicle. This vehicle is going to be selectively, we're going to drill. And if they miss, I don't care. If they get an asset, we drill it and it's a 0. Let's do that right away. Get that out of the way. We spent the money, so what? We're going to give ourselves multiple chances at a real game changer here. And I love the fact that the vanadium asset is the backstop. And they also have a copper asset that's very interesting. I haven't even talked about that. What else do they have or have on the table or the queue? Well, I would say, let's see. And really though, this Carlin, South Carlin, however you want to call it, because the Carlin Trend and District had been discovered technically years ago. I think you would call this South Carlin. So in any event, big time upside, pullback, strong buy. wanted to give you an insight into who is Dave Matheson, and not to mention Paul Cowley, besides the trust and the impressiveness in which he, as a geologist that's been around for a long time, he has impressed me throughout the years in terms of taking the ball and raising money and getting a market awareness for First Vanadium. He did a great job. And then look at this last raise. We put in 3 million. He got 3 million too from other investors. And that says something. He works his butt off, but he's able to do both. And there's not many guys like that. So that's why I'm betting, and really just kind of, you could say, gave my blessing to what is my brand. My brand is Phenom Foundation. The Phenom Foundation, Phenom Ventures, is my holding company that I've had for 11 years now, 10 years, that I've built up. Things like the gold investment letter. Tons of my investments are in that vehicle. My dog is named Phenom. And now we got Phenom Resources. So what does that mean? It just means that, I think Paul had respect and didn't really quite want to bring it up because they needed a name change. They ran into a couple of issues with the couple that he liked. We had a talk. I came up organically and I said, you know what? This is because this was my plan all along, is we're going to have a deal, called Phenom Minerals or Mining or Resources. And I'm going to run that one. I'm not running this one, but I am supporting this one. And there was not really a better opportunity where the dynamic and the stage is set where it is. We got Matheson running the Nevada program. Rob McEwen's an investor, significant investor. We got Tukey Angus as an advisor and an investor. Who else is on the docket there? We're going to see some big money take a position here, I think, over the coming months and years. And I'm talking about the big money, the people and the investors that will take this thing from, the dollar to $4, $5, and then beyond. The institutional investors that are going to love this thing once they learn about it. But you know about it now, and now you know a little bit more about Dave. So that's it for today, folks.